All right, everybody, welcome to Teaching Crypto. Big show today. AZcrypto, MrFOMO. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Super chats and the store are always open. Please share the show. Help us grow. All right, MrFOMO. It took 2 years, but Voyager and Paul Hage have decided to do clawbacks for very specific customers. Mixed emotions about this. Um, really, the idea of clawbacks bother me unless someone was truly an insider and was able to get their funds out before everyone else. Um, this is just, to me, too little too late, and I'll explain why. I wish we had more information, but we don't. 2 years is just a long time to wait, first of all. It's almost been 2 years since the bankruptcy, right? It's 2 years in a few weeks. And so this to me, sorry, end of June, so it's not quite, but this to me screams, I don't know. I hate to say it, but just another reason to delay this whole process here. We're talking about clawbacks for customers with net transfers of 355,000 within 90 days of bankruptcy. Now, maybe they have some very specific people in mind. I don't know. My concern is 20 million recovers 1% for the customers. Do they even have, and I would love to know from the estate and from Paul Hage, do they even have a $20 million target? And if not, what's the reason for this?
Yeah, to me, like you said, this bothers me a lot unless it is somebody who is an insider, say Steve Erlick or somebody like that. And even then, 2 years seems like enough time to have the specifics and enough information to go specifically after that person, right? So if you're going after an insider, why claw back all these different customers?
Well,
Just go
and we
after
don't know
people.
how many there are. It would, really what Paul needs to do is send out an email saying, here are the amount of customers we're going after. Here's the amount of money. And again, if you're not trying to get $20 million back, what are you doing? Because this takes time to litigate. Again, for me, after this next distribution, which hopefully be July, but most likely more like August, really the only reason to keep this open is 3AC. But remember, there's over $100 million that still belongs to the customers, which is over 5% recovery that they could also give back to us right now. I don't know how much of that is left. It was over 140 million at one point. But my point is, if you want to keep this going just to see if more money comes back from 3AC, that's fine. But there should be more of a sense of urgency to close this out. Get the checks out this summer, okay? If you want to keep whatever money you need, small amount, just so you can keep recovering from 3AC, okay. But this to me seems like a gigantic waste of time.
Well, and we'll explain to some of you who haven't heard us say it before. Every 20 million that they recover is 1% to every customer, right?
Yes.
And so even if they're recovering 20 million from this, that's only 1% back. So this still, is that worth it? You're really talking about having to recover something north of 200 million in order to really see a return for the customers. And so, like you said, it seems like it just feels dirty anyway. It feels like we're taking money out of people's pockets that we're lucky enough to get out of a bad situation before it got worse. Um, but I just, I need to know the amount. Like you said, I think I'm going to send an email to Paul today and see if he can tell me what amount they're actually going after. Not that he would listen to me if I said, hey, maybe this isn't worth it because it only returns so much to the customers, but just for my peace of mind to see how much they're
Well,
actually.
it's the time too, right? I would rather than focus on getting those checks out. I would rather focus on maximizing whatever they can over 3AC, whatever the rest of 2024 into 2025, and then end this thing for good. Again, yes, maximize customer value, but also there's got to be, we're going on 2 years here. And I think people are ready to move on with their lives for good 100%. Yes, people got the first distribution. Now we're finally getting a second, but no need to drag this on. And this takes time. If people want to fight this, you're talking about months in court. So Hopefully we get more answers soon. We also, for the first time, Mr. FOMO, our not so good friend, and friend would be the exact opposite, Mr. Steve Erlick is in the news again.
Yeah, let me share a tweet here. I don't know why the screen ended up that way, but a tweet from JDW007 says, "Nice try, scammer Steve. Judge denied your motion to dismiss Federal Trade Commission versus Voyager Digital. U.S. District Judge denies Stephen Erlick and Francine Erlick's motion to dismiss the case. The FTC is coming for you and your wife. Time to pay for your fraud." And so this shows the court document where they tried to.
Well, while you explain what's going on, let me just jump in.
It shows the court document where they tried to overturn the case or get it thrown out, and it's not working. And so this is a tweet that's just explaining that.
Yeah. Well, still zero accountability. Zero. Almost 24 months after bankruptcy. Let us not forget VGX 2.0. Trying to sell that on a now X, but then Twitter space a month before bankruptcy, while you were meeting with bankruptcy lawyers, the second set of bankruptcy lawyers. Just a joke. Nothing, no goodwill to this gentleman, because he's never held himself accountable for any of this.
Now, I think you said that in your tweet when you talked about this. He's never been held to account. He's never held himself accountable. He's never even apologized to anyone for the things that he's done here. And so, like you said, they were going to roll out Voyager 2.0 or VGX 2.0 or something like that, or whatever.
Well, they actually did release a 2.0. Ironically, it wasn't even ready on the app the day they had that space. And but they knew they were deeply in trouble at that moment, and they still went through it, and they collected money from people that got trapped.
That's right. And now doesn't it feel even dirtier that the people who were lucky enough to get out are getting clawed back? That feels even weirder to me now.
Well, but I don't know who those people are, and I don't know again, the more information we have, the better. It's hard. I mean, if it's a few $1 million are going after, I just wonder why. I wonder that to me, hopefully, and maybe I'm being too optimistic here. Hopefully, it's not a reason to just extend this thing and take away. My biggest concern is, are these cases now a reason to extend this whole entire bankruptcy even longer, so that original 140 million that they held back gets eaten up in legal fees? I would hope not, but the thing is, the reality is, people have moved on. They know people are not going to get riled up. And you remember what happened? It was shows like this, and actually we were probably one of the only shows that put some pressure on these guys to actually do the original liquidation. They didn't want to go through with it.
Right. They didn't want to go through with it. They didn't. There was a lot of things that they didn't want to go through that the Voyager customers pressured them into doing. The liquidation was one of them. But even, I mean, from getting the checks out when they got out to contacting the judge to, there's a lot of reasons that customers got behind this, and the customers are the reasons why this has gone as fast as it has, because we and other people who were stuck in this have put pressure on the people behind the scenes.
Yeah. Now, we do want to give you some good news before we leave. As Bitcoin warms up, one of the tokens, and we haven't discussed this too much for a little bit, I want to talk about iOS Network. I want to talk about the run it made into the 90-cent area. Now, you see right now on my screen, we're sitting at 86 cents here. We climbed up to 90. Now we're still well below all-time highs. And you know how I feel about this, Mr. FOMO. I'm still looking at a $2 target this fall. But I'm hoping now maybe we hit that $2 during the summer, honestly. Maybe I'm being a bit optimistic, but I know that's over 2x, but I think it could definitely happen here. And so I wanted especially our new viewers to be aware of this opportunity here. And I know you're waiting on Muse to make that move, but iOS has already started moving. Obviously, if you've been paying attention, if you didn't watch the last show, go back and watch. ETH ETFs look like they're imminent, possibly at the end of this week or early next week. That'll be a huge news event. And so you might see ETH take a bit of a breather after the ETF news because it's climbed so quickly. But
They have to make that decision by tomorrow.
It would not shock me if we got a 5K ETH this summer at all.
They're making the decision on the ETF tomorrow.
As long as it doesn't get delayed. And the reason why I didn't say that was, like they still remember the Bitcoin ETF. So I didn't want to get our viewers all excited for nothing. Yes, it's possible.
Well, it is going to, even if it gets delayed, that's going to be a run up until tomorrow and then possibly a sell off after that. So pay attention to what happens with ETH there, because no matter what the news is, there's going to be a reaction in the price.
And even if there is a sell-off, what will happen eventually.
It's going to come back.
Heat up, yeah. And I like the 5K ETH in August for sure.
And I'm actually hoping for a sell-off. I'm hoping some people take profits so that it comes back down, so I can pick up some more ETH.
Oh yeah.
But AIOZ network, it's like you said, AI adjacent, DePIN.
Yep.
Anything that is AI adjacent, this bull run is going to do amazing. We've already talked about it, but it's going to be the narrative for the bull run. And so I think AIOZ is going to be one of those ones that is really a leader in that narrative this summer.
Well, the nice thing is the market cap.
AI summer. This is going to be our AI summer.
Market cap still 943 million. Circulating supply is a little higher than I like, a little over $1 billion. But the volume, 18 million over the past 24 hours. That's good to see. Very high on this in the year 2024. So if you haven't jumped on, take a look at it, do your own research, but very, very excited to see where this one goes. And, I think you've talked about Muse before. It's only a matter of time before Muse makes its run, guys. And here's the thing. You don't want to, and again, this is not financial advice, but you don't want to, I like this token. And then a couple weeks from now, it goes up 80%. And you're like, oh man, I should have, when I watched that show. Again, the key is, remember this, guys, because if Bitcoin does hold around the 70K mark and goes back up in June, and we'll see, that be careful, because a pullback is not out of the question yet. I'll just say that, because we have not gotten back to the high 73 mark that we were 8.5 weeks ago. So if we do go over 73K, that's a huge level of resistance, and we do have a huge month of June. Remember, if you have exposure to the alts, please consider taking profits.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Happy Metal Vegan here. I love that name. That name is awesome. But let's just get this over and done. I don't care anymore.
Absolutely.
That is our attitude too. I want to get this over and done with, return as much as we can to the customers, and then be out of this. I want this in my past. And so I 100% agree with that.
1,000,000%. And that's why, starting clawbacks now 2 years in is just, unless there's tens of millions of dollars that you can recover, seems like a gigantic waste. And even if there is, you should have done it earlier.
You've got to recover hundreds of millions, and it's just not there. It's not possible that it's there. And what you're really looking at is that 3AC money is really what we should be going after, and that's the most difficult money to go after.
Absolutely. Well, guys, keep it tuned here. As the ETH ETF news gets closer, we will keep you right in the loop. For MrFOMO, this is AZcrypto. You guys have an amazing day.
See you.